Japan PM Shinzo Abe and Islamic State hostages vowed. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has condemned an apparent threat by the Islamic State group to kill 2 Japanese hostages. A video reportedly from the group shows a militant threatening to kill 2 hostages unless a ransom is paid. In the video, which has not been independently verified, the militant also criticizes Japan for pledging aid to countries fighting island. Mr. Abe said the threat was unacceptable and vowed to save the hostages. He added that their lives were his top priority and that Japan would not give in to terrorism. Japan's foreign ministry said it was working to verify the video. The video named the 2 men as Kenji Goto, the well-known freelance journalist, and Ryuna Yukawa, who reportedly went to Syria to set up a private military contracting company. Indignant, Mr. Abe is currently in Jerusalem as part of a 6-day tour of the Middle East. However, he is expected to cancel the remainder of his trip and return to Japan to deal with the hostage crisis. In a press conference in Jerusalem, Mr. Abe said he was indignant and felt strong resentment at the threats, and demanded the immediate release of the hostages. Extremism and Islam are completely different things, he said, adding, the international community will not give in to any form of terrorism and we have to make sure that we work together. Line analysis. Rupert Wingfield Hayes, BBC News, Tokyo, Japan has paid for the release of hostages before, most famously in 1977 when Prime Minister Takeo Fukuda agreed to pay £6 for M to the Red Army faction to free passengers aboard the hijacked Japan Airlines plane in Bangladesh. But this time will almost certainly be different. Firstly, the amount is unprecedented. No Prime Minister would want to be seen handing over £200, 130 to known terrorists. Certainly not Mr. Abe, who prides himself on being tough and close ally of the U.S. Also, public sympathy for these 2 men is likely to be muted. Kenji Goto is a well-known documentary filmmaker, but many here will say he chose to go to Syria even after other hostages had been murdered. Ryuna Yukawa is likely to garner even less sympathy. He has been described as a fantasist who went to Syria to set up a military security company despite having no military background. His website shows him fighting with Syrian rebels, wearing combat fatigues and carrying an assault rifle. In a video of his kidnapping posted on the jihadist website, he can be heard claiming to be half a doctor, half a journalist. Mr. Abe added that Japan's pledges of non-military support to countries in the Middle East would continue on Saturday, while in Cairo, Mr. Abe promised $2.5 billion, £1.6 billion in non-military assistance to the region, with £200, 130 in non-military aid for countries fighting Islamic State. As he announced the aid, Mr. Abe argued that the world would suffer immeasurable damage if terrorism spread in the region. Japan relies on the Middle East for much of its crude oil imports. The crisis gives Mr. Abe a serious political problem, the BBC's Rupert Wingfield Hayes in Tokyo reports. Mr. Abe has been pushing to give Japan a much more active role in international affairs, but many in Japan oppose that, and will claim this is exactly the result they fear. Our correspondent adds, hostages have become a key propaganda tool for Islamic State. The militant group has seized large swathes of territory in eastern Syria and across northern and western Iraq. Its brutal tactics, including mass killings and the beheadings of soldiers, journalists and other captives, have sparked international outrage and prompted military intervention by a US-led coalition. Speaking earlier to journalists, Japan's top government spokesman Yoshihide Suga said, "In truth, the act of threat in exchange of people's lives is unforgivable and we feel strong indignation. We will make our utmost effort to win their release as soon as possible." Yoshihide Nakayama, the deputy foreign minister, will fly to Jordan as part of efforts to resolve the crisis. Utmost efforts. The apparent video shows a masked man holding a knife and threatening to hostages. Speaking in English, the militant says he will kill the 2 men unless a $200 ransom is paid within 72 hours. Officials said that much of the $200 fund would be focused on helping refugees displaced from Syria and Iraq.